Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Scarborough. We are here at our wonderful, state-of-the-art Toronto Pan Am Sports Center. I would like to thank Premier Ford for being here with us to announce some good news for the people of Ontario. We are also joined by Minister Peter Bethlen-Falvey and my Scarborough colleagues, Minister Raymond Cho and MPP Aris Babikian. Ladies and gentlemen, under the leadership of Premier Ford, Scarborough is thriving. Just across the road, we are building the first ever medical school in Scarborough, the Scarborough Academy of Medicine and Integrated Health at UTSC. And let me tell you, my constituents are incredibly happy that we are putting Ontario students first when it comes to admissions. We are revitalizing Scarborough hospital infrastructure through a $1 billion investment in Scarborough Health Network and building a new hospital and expanding the emergency department at Centenary Hospital just few moments away from here. And finally, after 30 years of inaction, we are getting it done on Scarborough subway extension with tunneling underway. Friends, Scarborough is no longer the forgotten part of the city under Premier Ford. I know that today's announcement will be yet another step in helping the hardworking people of this community and those across Ontario get ahead. Thank you all once again for being here.
Well, thank you very much, Minister Thani Gastelum. The quick story is I learned his name, Thani Gastelum, but he had to learn my name, Bethlen-Falvey, so we cut a deal very early on. Do you remember that? Very early on. Premier, welcome to Scarborough. I remember I was here for the Invictus Games. I don't know if some of you remember the Invictus Games at the swimming pool, and what an inspiration that was to see military veterans right around the world competing here in Ontario and the Invictus Games at this great facility, and that was an incredible moment. You know, folks, we've been hearing loud and clear from people across the province that they're feeling the pinch. Today's announcement is a huge acknowledgement about our prudent and responsible plan that is working. And while inflation and interest rates have slowly begun to ease up and come down, workers and families right across the province are still feeling the high cost of groceries, the high cost of gas, the high cost of housing, and of course, the increasing federal carbon tax, which is pinching their household budgets. Just 2 days ago, the Premier and I and our colleagues, and of course our great colleagues from Scarborough as well, announced that we're keeping costs down by proposing to extend the cut to the gas and fuel tax rate until June 30th, 2025. And tomorrow, I'll have the privilege of releasing our 2024 Fall Economic Statement. Il y a un jour à peine, nous avons annoncé que, deux jours à peine, nous avons annoncé que nous gardons les coûts bas en proposant de prolonger la réduction du taux de la taxe sur l'essence et de la taxe sur les carburants jusqu'à 30 juin 2025. Et demain, j'aurai le privilège de rendre public notre exposé économique de l'automne 2024. This is our plan to advance our government's prudent approach to managing the province's finances, build critical infrastructure for our growing communities today, and reduce gridlock for generations to come, and show how we're making life more affordable while protecting Ontario's economy, protecting its workers, protecting its families, protecting its businesses, and protecting its municipalities. Now, it's my distinct pleasure and honor, as I've been able to do a number of times this past couple of weeks and throughout the last 6.5 years, to introduce the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford.
Thanks, Peter. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so pleased to be back here in Scarborough, joined by Minister Bethlen-Falvey, Minister Cho, and Minister Thani Gastelum and MPP Aris Babikian. You know, I remember this going up, the pool, when Rob was mayor, and boy, a spectacular facility and the Olympic-sized pool, and boy, it just brings back a lot of memories. I love Scarborough. I always call it my second home. And before I get started, I want to thank Graham and Raphael, two champions back there. They're doing an incredible job running this facility, and everyone here at the Toronto Pan Am Sports Centre for hosting us today. This is such a great facility, a place where families come together to stay active and embrace healthy lifestyles. Thank you for everything you do to make this center such a vital part of the Scarborough community. And congratulations on celebrating your recent 10th anniversary. It's a tremendous milestone. Friends, the previous Liberal government, they failed to build. They saddled businesses with high energy cost and costly cap and trade carbon tax. The result, plants and factories closed as 300,000 people lost their jobs, went south of the border. Since being elected in 2018, our government has been on a mission to rebuild Ontario's economy. There's over 860,000 people working today that weren't working 6 years ago. As Peter mentioned, later this week, our government will table our fall economic statement. This document is the next step in our government's plan. It's an ambitious plan to build roads, highways, hospitals, homes, and schools. It's a plan that's creating the conditions for businesses to invest, grow, and thrive. And it's a plan that's helping to create better jobs with bigger paychecks. The fall economic statement maintains our path to a balanced budget without ever raising taxes on people or businesses. In fact, since we came into office in 2018, we've increased government revenues by nearly $60 billion without ever raising a tax on businesses or people. We've reduced the cost on the backs of people. That's money that goes back into essential services, supporting our record investments in healthcare, education, long-term care, and infrastructure that benefits everyone. Friends, we simply refuse to raise taxes on people and businesses. Years of inflation, high interest rates, and the terrible Liberal carbon tax have made life too costly for too many people. I get it, and that's why we've been laser focused on keeping your costs down. We eliminated roll tolls, we scrapped the license plate sticker fee, saving the average household about $600 to date. We launched One Fare. Minister Thani Gaslin was critical in putting together the One Fare to eliminate the cost of transferring between transit systems in the GTA, saving commuters up to $1,600 every year. We're fighting back against the Liberal carbon tax, and earlier this week we announced that we're extending the gas and fuel tax, saving families on the average of $380 a year. But we're not stopping there. Today, I am pleased to announce, as part of our fall economic statement, our government will provide every Ontario taxpayer a $200 tax-free rebate. And because we know kids come with more expenses, parents will receive an additional $200 for every eligible child. We're able to provide the relief because inflation has increased provincial sales tax revenues and because of the federal government's recent changes to their capital gains tax. But instead of holding on to this money, like Bonnie Crombie would, we're putting it back into the pockets of taxpayers because life is expensive right now, and because taxpayers are the best people to decide how to spend their money. At the same time, we're making historic investments in healthcare and education. It's not either or. Keep costs down or invest in social programs. It's and. We can and are doing both. These $200 rebates will make a big difference for families across the province, with checks arriving earlier in the new year. For an eligible family of 5, these rebates work out to be approximately $1,000. That's money that families can use to pay off their credit card after the holidays, to buy a winter coat for their kids, or to cover the cost of gassing up the family car to make up for the cost of the Liberal carbon tax. As I always say, this money belongs to the taxpayers, not the government. And we're giving it back to the taxpayers where it belongs. Not everyone would take this same approach. Bonnie Crombie and the Liberals have called our cut tax and all our taxes that we're cutting and fees little gimmicks. She'll bring back the license plate sticker fees, she'll bring back the road tolls, and raise the gas tax. She even said she's considering introducing a new sales tax, which would drive up the cost of absolutely everything. Bonnie might think it's a gimmick to cut taxes and fees. We disagree. And while Bonnie raised taxes to the highest levels in Mississauga has ever seen, we'll never ever raise taxes. Instead, we'll keep finding ways to keep costs down for hardworking families, including with tomorrow's fall economic statement. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
Open the floor.
Thank you.
We will now open the floor for questions from the media. Please come to the mic and state your name and outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First reporter.
Morning, Premier Richard Southern, 680 News Radio. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good, Richard. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, sir. Question, will this be means tested? And if not, why will millionaires and even billionaires be getting a $200 check here in Ontario?
You know, I knew that was coming, Richard, because they're taxpayers. These are tax dollars going back to the taxpayers. And we're going to give it back to every single person in Ontario. And if they have a child, they're getting an additional $200 because life's too expensive right now. You know, the cost of groceries are going up because of the carbon tax. The gas is going up because of the carbon tax, the 17.5 cents that the Liberals put on there. But guess what? Bonnie Crombie wants to increase that. She wants to increase your taxes, increase the carbon tax. As we say, Bonnie Crombie is the queen of the carbon tax. The difference between our party and the Liberals and NDP, they believe in one thing: tax the taxpayers to death, drive companies out of this province. We've taken a different approach. That's why there's 860,000 people working today that weren't working under the Liberal regime. They lost 300,000 jobs.
Premier, there will be many who will no doubt question the timing of this. It sure looks like you're in campaign mode. As recently as yesterday, you didn't rule out the possibility of an election next year. Are you trying to buy Ontarians' votes with this $200?
Well, Richard, I got to laugh when you ask me these questions. But anyways, we've done this from day one. 6 years ago when we started to put money back into people's pockets. We put $1,600 into every transit rider's pockets. And a family of two, $3,200. A family of four, that's $6,400 going back into the taxpayers' money. We got rid of the sticker tax, as I call it, the vehicle license tax. Guess what? The Liberals would bring it back. They'd bring back taxes, they'd increase taxes, take money out of your pockets, they'd drive companies out of this province like they did before, they'd hike energy cost as we reduced it 15 to 17%. That's the difference between ourselves and the Liberals and NDP. It's basically the same party, both of them. Tax, tax, tax.
Hi, it's Chris Rishowie from the Toronto Star.
Hi, Chris.
You've often said that you took over a province that was bankrupt. So wouldn't it be better for you to pay off hundreds of billions in debt as opposed to giving out money?
Well, you know something, we've shown when you lower taxes, you attract companies to a tune of about $60 billion of investment, $45 billion from the EV, another $5 billion from the life sciences, tens of billions of dollars in the tech sector. And last year, folks, Ontario manufacturers created more jobs in Ontario, manufacturing jobs, in all 50 U.S. states. And guess what happens when you lower taxes? More revenues come up. There's 860,000 people who are paying taxes that weren't paying taxes 6 years ago. We've increased revenues by $60 billion by reducing taxes. The only government that I can think of in recent memory. And we're going to continue focusing on putting money back into people's pockets because it's tough out there. I literally just got a message from a gentleman in Brampton saying, I'm struggling, I need help with my truck driving license. Well, there you go, my friend. You can put that $200 towards that truck driving license. And if you have kids, they're all getting $200 too, and your spouse will get $200. So that will help someone get a license and start their own driving business.
I also wanted to ask about home care supplies. Your government's been at it for about a couple of months now to try and find a solution for patients. Is it maybe time to try a different approach?
Well, we're all over this, and I believe the gap has shrunk drastically. But I can assure you one thing, it's unacceptable, and people are going to be held accountable.
Hey, good morning, Premier Colin DeMello from Global
Colin.
News. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. So it appears that you guys are agnostic about who's getting the check. As long as you're an Ontario taxpayer, you will be getting this check. If somebody has committed a crime, auto theft as an example, and they're out on bail, do they receive $200 from you?
If they've committed a crime and they've been convicted, no. That's the answer.
Okay, but
And hopefully they'll be in jail if they're stealing cars.
Okay, but if they are on bail, they would receive it. Your government is also under RCMP investigation. Do you think it's appropriate for those investigators to get a hand-signed check from Doug Ford as they continue to investigate your government?
Well, you know something? Are they riding transit? They're getting $1,600 back. The license sticker, that goes for everyone. License sticker, they don't have to pay it any longer. The tolls, if they live in 412 and 418, you know, we're putting money back into everyone's pocket, stimulate the economy. That's what we believe, and it works. The other scenario under the Liberals, Bonnie Crombie, and the NDP, taxing people does not work. It's never worked anywhere in the world. It doesn't stimulate new jobs. It doesn't stimulate companies to come around the world. Folks, last year, 136 companies worldwide came to Ontario to invest $11 billion and create 12,200 jobs. That's what it does.
Hi, Premier. Good morning. Barbara with QP Briefing. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Barbara?
I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to ask you on this check rebate. You said it will be for every taxpayer in Ontario. I'm just wondering if that's for Canadian citizens only, or if it also includes people that they're living here on permanent residency visas and working visas as well, who are not from Canada.
If they paid taxes in 2023, and they're paying taxes, they're getting a rebate check.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone who's paying taxes.
On a totally different topic now, the big city mayors, they put forward a motion some days ago asking for more assistance to handle homelessness and also an update to the Healthcare Act. So what are the steps the province is taking to follow up with their request? And are we going to see something still in this legislative session?
Well, I talked to many of the big city mayors. You know, first of all, there was a ruling in Waterloo from the court saying you have to put someone into a shelter. That's fine. And they get a choice. So they go into a shelter, they look around, I don't like it. Well, that's a problem. If there's a roof over their heads, you know, they have to do it. But I have an idea. Why don't the big city mayors actually put in writing that they want the province to change the homeless program, make sure that we move the homeless along, and why don't they put in, use the notwithstanding clause or something like that? That's what they should be doing, rather than just kind of going up to the edge. Let's see if they have the backbone to do it. If they really want the homeless situation to improve, because I'll tell you, I get endless calls about people camping out in the parks, needles being all over the park. They're scared to put their kids out in the park by themselves, no matter what age it is, and we have to make a move. But big city mayors, you want to get it done? I need that letter.
Hi, Premier. Alison Jones with the Canadian Press.
Hi, Alison.
On Thursday, a few hundred more grocery stores are going to be able to start selling alcohol.
Yeah.
The uptake hasn't been super high compared to how many grocery stores there are in Ontario, and the smaller ones in particular, the independent, family-run small businesses, are saying that some of the regulations dropped on them last week about what exactly recycling will entail mean that it's going to be basically impossible for them. Some of them say, you know, this favors big chains over small businesses. What would your response be to them?
Well, I'll pass this over to the finance minister. That's his file.
Thank you, Premier, and thanks for the question. You know, actually, I'm very, Premier, you and I are going to be out hopefully on Thursday because it's a big day. Another 400 grocery stores on top of the 450, so we'll have over 800. This is a big move. You know, this is 100 years of a monopoly system that we're opening up, catching up with the rest of the world. On recycling, you know, what we've negotiated is that if you're 4,000 square feet or smaller, and you're within 5 kilometers of a beer store, you don't have to do recycling. So that's the agreement we have. That's very positive. I'll also remind the grocers, and we've got a lot of signed up, many who are not even within the 5 kilometers who are going to do recycling. The liquor convenience outlets, of which there's over 300, they're doing recycling. So the world has figured it out. There's time to actually figure out recycling, let the market figure that out by 2026. And so we've got a program in place that will allow for recycling, will allow for us to modernize, move forward with our expansion. And remember, this is a government. I mean, I remember David Peterson in 1985, Liberal Premier said, let's get beer and wine in the convenience stores. And it took this government, this Premier, this team to actually get it done. Thank you.
My follow-up might be for either of you. Speaking of 2018 campaign promises, I'm wondering why not use this money that's going towards these rebate checks to fulfill the 2018 promise to bring in an income tax cut?
Well, I'm going to just stay there 1 second, Peter. Again, these are tax dollars going back to taxpayers that are struggling right now. They're finding it tough to pay for their groceries, to fill up their tanks with gas, buying their kids clothes. They're finding it tough. It's going back to the taxpayers.
Yeah, thanks. So, this is a government that keeps putting money back into people's pockets. $8 billion that we put in our budget last year that goes back into people's pockets. As the Premier said, not only have we committed to not increasing taxes and fees, we're actually cutting taxes and fees. And just remember, the reason that we can do this is because we've got a balanced books that we're projecting, that we've been good fiscal managers. So it's allowed us to have the capacity with a growing economy and revenues, as we highlighted in the public accounts, to be able to do this, number one. Number two, this is going to impact the vast majority of households in Ontario. There are many, many people. The Premier gets those phone calls. We all do as caucus members every single day. I was just talking to someone last night at 10 o'clock who's got 4 kids, really struggling. This is happening right across Ontario where the cost of everything has been up, and gas, groceries, housing, you name it. And this is a check that will come very quickly. You don't have to file a tax return. It's not down the road. It's going to get in your pockets really quick. That's how this government is helping people today, because they need the help today.
Morning, Premier. Lane Harrison, CBC News. I want to ask you first, Radio-Canada has learned that the Trudeau government will announce plans for a high-speed train linking Quebec City and Toronto, a project that would cost dozens of billions of dollars. What are your thoughts on that project and how it might impact Ontarians?
Well, I've heard about it. I've talked to the representative about doing this. It's something we'll look at. And, I think we need higher populations. You see, it all works in Tokyo, works in high populated areas, but let's not rule out anything. We'll sit down and see what they have to offer there.
Right. And on the issues with home care, you said earlier today that that's unacceptable, and the Liberals are asking the Auditor General to investigate what happened there. Do you support a call for that investigation?
Well, we're fixing the problem, and the gap is down to about that much right now. But I'm holding people accountable on this one. There's a lot of moving parts, but we're fixing the problem. We're going to make sure that never happens again, I guarantee you.
This will be the last reporter.
Hi there, Alan Hale from the Trillium.
Yeah.
I would like to circle back to Barbara's question. The Ontario Big City Mayors, the proposal they put forward originally that they voted on was going to call on the province to use the notwithstanding clause, but they decided against making that recommendation to your government. And Peel Region also did not want to back or endorse the involuntary care program that Brampton is asking for. So I'm just wondering, are you disappointed that the Ontario City Big City Mayors didn't ask you to use the notwithstanding clause, and are you willing to use the notwithstanding clause?
Well, first of all, I have a great relationship with all 21 large city mayors. I talk to them on a weekly basis, and if they want something done, they have to put it in writing to us to make sure that they're 100% behind us. You can't put your butt on both sides of the fence. As I've said before, you get a lot of slivers. So, guys, you're either going on one side or you're going on the other. You don't sit there and And, well, let's see if the province is going to do it. We saw what happened in the courts in Waterloo. So is it going to happen again? More than likely. So what's the plan? What do they want to do? You know, that's what I asked the big city mayors. Don't get slivers, make a decision, and stand by your decision. And by the way, everyone that I talk to can't stand these encampments. They pop up in a park, they ruin the neighborhoods, and they shouldn't be there. Simple as that. We put over $700 million for homeless and supporting the homeless and shelter. We gave another $600 million on top of that to Toronto. We're pouring money into that. We're supporting food programs, a breakfast program for the kids. I believe it's about $38 million. Feed Ontario, we've invested another $8 million for Feed Ontario. So we're doing a lot of areas in the social programs to support people, give them a bump up. So that's exactly what we're doing. And we're going to keep supporting people that need help. You know, the best way to support people that need help, you get them a good paying job, and then you put money back into their pockets. That's the best way to stir the economy and help people get off their feet. And again, working on the federal, Liberal, and provincial Liberals that want to increase taxes. That's what they believe in. We don't.
I have a question from my colleagues at the Trillium. Your government installed a supervisor at the Kawartha Halliburton Children's Aid Society, and the board has resigned. We understand that this is the latest in part. We know that this was at least in part because of the agency's deficit, which has been blamed on underfunding by your government and increasing complex needs of the children they have in care. Can you tell us what the CAS did wrong to require a supervisor, and is this something that we can expect at other children's aid societies?
Well, we poured money into the Children's Aid Society, poured it in. We never cut it. We've increased it. And matter of fact, not only did we increase it, but we saw the amount of kids go down. So increased money and less kids going through Children's Aid. We're doing an audit on as many of the children's aids all around the province. We're going to find out where the wasted money, because I'm getting calls from frontline workers, and they're telling me where the waste is. You know, and I just want to thank the frontline workers. They have a tough job, but if management is failing, and if there are more managers being, hired, and less frontline people, well, we're going to take care of it. But I just want to thank the frontline workers that work in children's aid. They do a really good job, high stress, and I just appreciate everything you do. And we'll get down to the bottom of this.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for the fall economic statement. Minister Bethlenfalvy has some really great things in there, very ambitious. We're going to continue building Ontario. We're going to continue being the economic powerhouse in Canada and North America. And we're always going to think of the taxpayers, put money back into your pocket. And we will never, ever raise a tax. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.